Welcome to Talking Six, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first episode ever, and it's a big night. We've got the Conor McGregor fight coming on. In about 2 hours, the main event will start. But for now, we're watching the prelims. And if you're in Canada, they're on TSN 5. If you're in the US, it's on Fox Sports 1. I am not an MMA expert. I am a big fan. I've been a big fan for a long time, but I am not an expert. So I invited a couple of experts from Toronto into the studio tonight. And I'm very happy to say that Danny, how do you say your last name?
Beauclair.
Say that again?
Sorry, Beauclair.
Oh, we've got a problem with your mic. We're going to figure that out. Let's say this.
Beauclair.
Danny Beauclair, a former CUF champion, and of course a third degree Gracie black belt.
Yeah.
Gracie Barra. Alexander Santos Ramos?
Yeah, Ramos Santos.
Ramos Santos,
yeah.
And Claudette?
Clarissa.
Clarissa.
Say Clarissa because it's in Portuguese.
Yes. Thank you all for joining me here. And so what we're going to do tonight, if you've never watched a Fight Companion, what we're going to do is we're going to sync up with the fight on TV. So if you're watching now, we're going to throw a timer up in the corner. And that timer is going to match up with the fights as they go on. So you can either pause your TV or pause the video that you're watching, and you're going to see a couple of local sports experts talk about these big fights tonight. I'm going to try to see if I can get Danny's microphone fixed here.
It's Brazilian guy.
Yeah. I think just one Brazilian guy in this UFC, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, this one.
Alan?
So tonight, for the first fight, we have Scott Holtzman versus Alan Patrick. Scott's coming in with a record of 11-2, and Alan's coming in with a record of 15-1. Alan has a jiu-jitsu background. How long have you been practicing jiu-jitsu for, Alexander?
20 years.
20 years.
20 years. 21 year, yeah.
And you've been practicing underneath the Gracies the entire time?
Yeah. I started with Ryan Gracie.
Ryan Gracie.
Yeah, Ryan Gracie after his diet. Yeah.
Okay.
I moved to... I'm from Rio de Janeiro and live in São Paulo. I moved to Belo Horizonte and continue with Draculino.
Okay.
Draculino is very famous in Gracie Barra, yeah. And I get my black belt. I have one school in Brazil too. But
you have another school in Brazil?
Yeah.
So how long ago did you come to Toronto?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And how long have you been planning the school here then? Before you moved or after you moved?
After you moved.
After you moved? You came to Toronto and then just...
Yeah, I sent my curriculum for the Canada government about my job, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I get one visa for... A different visa, for extraordinary abilities.
Okay.
For come here for teaching in Jiu-Jitsu in Gracie, because it's the first Gracie Barra in Ontario, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, the first one in Ontario.
Yeah.
Well, is there another one in Canada?
No, in Canada we have 5 in Montreal, 4 or 5 in Vancouver. It's my friends Bruno and Rodrigo. Yeah.
Yes.
This guy lived here 10 years ago. I arrived here 10 years ago.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. I think I'm still having difficulties with Danny's mic. Can you hear me, Danny? We can't hear you. I'm going to try to fix that. Sorry about that, guys.
It's all good.
Hey, Danny, try your mic right now.
His mic's not working either. His mic's not working either.
Danny, you understand me?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
No,
My English is good.
your English is strong. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But Sambo is very nice, yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. We can talk here. That's
Yeah, I
good.
think
Yeah. Sambo, I meet one guy here, Victor Belov, and his father is a president.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
No,
And sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. I still can't hear through these. Is that?
You can't hear through the...
No, through the headphones. I'm just hearing you guys like in the room.
Oh.
So another thing to fix.
That's all right.
But when you were
That's
adjusting
okay.
it, I could.
Okay. So hopefully there's a fight timer lined up right now, and we're watching Holtz and Patrick. We're gonna figure out the technical difficulties before we get to the main card. We are round 1.
Oh.
I like to wait, yeah. This guy is very faster.
Who?
Holtzman's looking for that overhand, right?
Good. Check 1 2, and I think we're all good.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent,
I
excellent.
can hear myself too.
Perfect.
Oh, nice straight left.
Weird looks.
Oh.
So, Alex, what do you know about you being involved with the Gracie family for so long? You must have seen the evolution of the sport. Do you remember the first few UFCs?
Yeah. Yeah, because I am 38, yeah?
Yes.
I remember the Royce. I remember before this, because I'm from Rio de Janeiro.
Yes.
It's very common in my city, the guys, challenger, the schools in the past, jiu-jitsu guys versus luta livre guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was Valetudo, right? Like
Yeah, no, luta livre is not. You know Marco Ruas?
no.
Yeah, Marco Ruas, vale tudo. Marco Ruas is very famous in fight. Is champion in UFC 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and Marco Ruas created Ruas vale
yes,
tudo. Yeah,
yes.
Ruas training many martial arts
Yes.
and created this. For the Gracies, invited the vale tudo. But in
Yes.
martial arts, Marco Ruas invited martial because Marco Ruas always before training jiu-jitsu, sambo, wrestling, Muay Thai. And for Gracie, don't believe in this mix, the past. Yeah, and Marco Ruas, no, I need training, all martial arts for him turning that complete athlete. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
and I remember this because it's common. I remember the Sunday in the beach, Copacabana, etc. The guys, there's one fighter here, the Carson Gracie guys versus Ruas Vale Tudo guys. It's normal, yeah.
so
It's not-
I know you teach traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, Gracie
Yes, the
Jiu-Jitsu.
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, we teach self-defense every day, takedowns, and ground.
Yes.
Yeah, our missions are Rio Jiu-Jitsu. We had the same Helio, Carlos teach in the past.
Yes.
No, only for tournaments.
Yes.
Yeah, because Jiu-Jitsu is a beautiful martial art for just one segment. Imagine one guy, it's an old guy, or there is a problem with the alcohol, or
Yes.
etc.
Yes.
The guys need train Jiu-Jitsu for safe,
Yes.
for healthy.
Not necessarily so you don't get injured, but you don't injure the person either.
But this guy don't like tournaments. Makes sense. Yeah, tournaments is good for athletes. Yeah?
Yes.
And jiu-jitsu for everyone's. Carlinhos Gracie rescue this slogan for his father, because his father, Grandmaster Carlos Gracie, believe in this. Yeah. I need to teach my martial arts for everyone. For 21 world is better. For example, look, the martial arts, como eu falo, trouxe, come here. Brought here, yeah, for invite, for meet you.
Yes.
It's a martial arts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, Danny, are you the head trainer, or
Yes, head trainer.
So you're the head trainer at 6 MMA, which is located at Queen of Bathurst, downtown Toronto.
That's it, yeah.
And it's actually just a block away from Alex's school as well.
Yeah, we were planning an attack. A dojo storm, I think we used to call it.
Yeah, listen to this. Yeah.
It's great to have you guys both in because I'm very familiar with both of your schools because I live right at King and Bathurst, and so I watched your school open up, and your school is actually partnered with other schools, I believe, right?
Yeah, we share the location with TKMT.
Yes, with the Kickboxing Academy.
That's right, correct.
And then, Ryan, can we get some volume on the mixer on Danny's mic? Mike should be able to show you where the dial is. So when did you move into the space with the Kickboxing Academy?
We've been there now for 2 years.
2 years.
Just under 2 years, yeah.
So my girlfriend used to go to the Kickboxing Academy.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So I was familiar and the thing is, you've done some great branding because I see the 6 MMA everywhere.
Oh, I'm glad. That's good. That's the wife.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
She's much smarter than me, so
You need a good partner like
exactly,
that. You need a good partner. And so when I've been in both your schools. I haven't trained in either of the schools, but I've been into both. And so to see this traditional, the old school, where it basically came from, of what we know of the UFC, where it came from is basically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the Gracie family trying to test their skills against all these other martial arts. And then you walk into a school like yours, and you can see the different disciplines being practiced throughout the room.
Right.
Right when I walked in at the front, there was 4 guys. I guess it's playing jiu-jitsu, right? Is it playing?
Rolling.
Rolling. Well, yes. So they're rolling, and it's but they're all with no gis.
Right.
Yes, and they're moving very fast.
Right.
Yes, the guys who are very high level no gi, and I see that's where a lot of the tournaments are now, is with no gi.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's your thoughts on that, being a traditional Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie, with and if you were to get into a fight, if you were to encounter the drunk at the bar, as you say, somebody who's had too much booze, he's wearing clothes. He's not wearing a roll suit. He's not wearing sweats, ready to go. But it's so learning with a gi as opposed to learning jiu-jitsu in this MMA world. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because when you train with gi, yeah, you have a base for example, we learn self-defense. Yeah, and self-defense involve punch, kicks, etc. And because Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, it's a martial art for defense, no for attack. Yeah.
Right.
And when we learn, I teach for the guys use gi.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, in Gracie Barra, you can start training no gi.
Mm-hmm.
Only 3 stripes, the white belt 3 stripes up. Because you need base first.
Basics,
yeah,
yes.
the basics first for after starting. But we teach a no gi too. Yeah,
yes, I know you have on Fridays, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because my school is new, yeah. When for example, you have our red quarter in Irvine, there is an no-gi every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Right,
it's normal, yeah. And Romulo Barral too. Yeah, there is a many world champions in no-gi in Gracie Barra too. So Jiu-Jitsu, because Rollis Gracie,
Yes.
Rollis Gracie mix this wrestler, judo and jiu-jitsu and created this jiu-jitsu modern, yeah. But
And we're very similar. We have a gi jiu-jitsu program through Silvio Barron.
You do?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
So similar. Ours is right now just 2 days a week.
Okay.
But the gi is important. Even if you want to do MMA, what happens when you roll in the gi versus no gi is everything slows down. You have the grips and things like that. So it forces you to be very technical. Because with no gi, you're slippery. There's a little more scramble and explosion. Somebody gets a hold of your lapel.
Yes.
And your sleeve, there's no slippery.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's good it slows it down. It forces you to be very precise.
Oh, that's what I meant when I walked into to 6. I could see these guys were moving so fast.
Right.
And the only place that they could really grab was on the back of each other's neck or maybe on the back of an ankle.
Right.
And it's using those points. And you're absolutely right, is learning both sides. why wouldn't it be beneficial, right?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't it be beneficial? Absolutely. So, Danny, how long have you been training for yourself?
29 years.
29 years.
Yeah, I'm old and fat now.
So what got you started?
I was just getting beat up a lot. I grew up in a very small town, and I'm a small guy, and I have a big mouth. And I was getting picked on, and it got really, really bad. It got to the point where my parents, out of frustration, said, "We're calling the police." Excuse me. And I remember pleading with my father, "Don't call the police. It's just going to make it worse. Don't call the police. Don't." And my father said, and I understand his position as a parent. So the police showed up at this boy's house and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, you have to leave Danny alone." And the very next day, he came up to me in the school field and just beat the tracks off me.
Oh.
Yep. And as awful as that was, it was such a good experience, because I remember sitting there with, bloody faced going, even the police, like I have to be able to beat these guys. My parents can't help me. They did their best. They were amazing. But the police, if this kid's not afraid of the police, he's not going to be afraid of the teachers. He's not going to be afraid of, so I remember thinking, like, I have to beat him. Like it's otherwise I have to run home every day. I used to plot like I'm going to run behind the ice cream store and I'm going to cut behind the bank just to try to avoid these guys.
I bet he wouldn't do that again.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. But
have you seen him since?
No. It turns out he actually passed away a few years ago.
Oh.
And I felt horrible because I still had a lot of anger for him.
Absolutely, one would.
He's a guy I thought about on my wedding day.
Yeah.
He and then when I found out he'd passed away years earlier, I've had this wave of guilt because I had all this negative energy going towards this guy.
You know what? I will share a story. I had a high school bully that was he never actually beat me up, but there was times where he was looking for me.
Right.
And now we run in the same circles, and we're really good friends, and we've had the conversation. And I just want to say, bending. I know that if something had happened to him, and before I had built that bridge with him, I know I would have because it's just one of those things. Like if you're bullied growing up, it's hard to shake it.
Absolutely,
it's hard to shake it. Ryan, I think there's a little bit of echo on my mic. I think you might want to turn mine up a bit. I think the mics in the room are picking up mine more. We are now going into the third round, and I've not been watching much of this fight.
Me either.
It is a big card.
Oh, hey. Sorry, I'm going to do that a lot. That's the Muay Thai in me. I can't not call out when I hear a strike.
So can you explain this for girls? Because might be fun.
So you don't train, that's right.
Exactly. Not yet.
Not yet.
That's good.
There is a pink gi in Gracie Barra.
And is that your goal?
It's just that it's looking at me. Every day that I go there, I see the pink gi.
My wife would love the pink gi. Yeah, she'd go crazy.
And your wife training?
A little bit, yeah. She trains with me.
Is she like my size?
I don't know how big.
5'3".
Yeah, she's 5 foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
If she goes first,
yes,
she's gonna get the key.
She's little, yeah.
Can I get you guys a beverage? Anybody for a beer? Want a beer?
Beer?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Once I finish this, I'll grab it. Thank you. Oh, sorry, that was loud. Sorry, guys.
They are on the ground.
He hit him with a huge right hand.
Ooh.
A huge right hand.
Yay. Thanks.
I've got Stella's here too.
They might stop this. He's in trouble here. Short elbows. He needs to throw short elbows here. Yeah, there we go. Short elbows. I have to make sure I don't scream like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna root for the Brazilian guy. Sorry.
You have to. You have to. Yeah, of course.
Now look, the position I teach this week. How you escape the mount.
Okay, how would you?
It's the most important position to learn how to escape.
That.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
Break off the guard, but where is jiu-jitsu, man?
This is not jiu-jitsu?
No.
Patrick's in serious trouble here.
Yeah.
Check. That sounds a lot better. Perfect.
Sorry. Oh man, if he had hit that armbar, that would have been an amazing comeback. Thank you, sir.
It happens.
It happens. That's what happens when a live show, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
You want to say that in Portuguese?
Yeah,
How do you say cheers in Portuguese?
Saúde.
Saúde?
Saúde.
Saúde.
Like to your health.
To your health. Yes, so a big shout out to any of the 6 MMA or Gracie Barra viewers that may be watching and joining us for the Fight Companion here.
My husband is watching.
Oh, your husband's watching.
Yes.
If you have any questions, you can shoot us a text or a tweet at Talking6.
I know.
elbow.
Elbow.
Yeah.
Oops.
Big knockout with the elbow
Brazilian
to
guy
finish off that
died.
fight.
I don't want to say I was calling for the elbow, but I was.
You were. Short elbows.
He heard me.
We just had to get the volume up on your mic there.
Oh, right. That's
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, that was the problem. You could see him tapping his ear in the cage. I can't hear Danny.
So, Danny, you were a former CUF champion. That's the
Yes.
Caribbean Ultimate Fist Fighting
That's
Championships.
correct. Yeah.
And so, how long ago did you win that belt?
That was 2015.
And did you successfully defend that belt at all?
No. After that, so what happened during that event was I had 5 fighters on that card.
Okay.
And my wife kept telling me, you can't fight after you corner 5 fighters. Like, you'll be exhausted, And I was arrogant about it and said, no, yeah, I'll be good. And as soon as I got in the cage, I just felt...
Let's move you.
Over here. I felt heavy and slow and
Yeah.
kind of emotionally tired.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to that position where if I focus on me, my students suffer, right? Or if I
Oh, yes, of course.
If I focus on my students, my training suffers.
Yes.
So it's very hard, I'm sure you know, as a teacher to balance training yourself versus training your students, a very difficult balance. So I decided that also I'm getting old, I'm 39.
Okay.
My opponent was 14 years younger than me, or 12
Oh,
years
wow.
younger. Yeah, big gap, and bigger, much stronger. It was a tough fight.
And what weight class was that?
125.
125. And so we were talking about this earlier. You usually, you were walking around at the time at what weight?
At the time, when we started the weight cut, around 155.
155, and that's when you started the weight cut, but you knew you were going into the weight cut, right?
Yeah.
So you were preparing.
Kind of. Usually, we just take the 8-week fight camp, and whatever we start at, we can go from there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so that's what I was trying to explain to somebody, that they were trying to tell me that how do they get themselves prepared in 8 weeks' time? And I was like, well, they're training year round.
Correct,
The 8
correct.
weeks is to cut weight.
Yes, and to
A lot of people don't realize that that's just like eating nutrition and counting calories and going down from 155 to 125. That's 30 pounds.
right.
So, like, a lot of people are probably like watching this, if they're not big MMA fans, or if they're wondering like, what was the big deal with the Conor and Khabib weighing in, if they weighed in the right weight, and they don't understand that these guys, some of those guys are walking like Khabib was walking around at 200 pounds when he was missing weight.
Right.
So now he's walking around a little bit less, but I think he started fight camp, or he showed up in Vegas at in the 180s, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And still was able to cut that much weight. And so what is that like, going through a weight cut like that?
It's pretty horrible. It's
Being honest.
yeah, it's tough. For me, I hate food. I'm not a food. I eat food so I don't die.
Yes.
I've never enjoyed, like, the Food Network blows
Sustenance.
my mind. Yeah, it blows my mind that people would. The first few years dating my wife, she would say, we would go to a restaurant and she'd say, what do you want to eat? And I'd say, just get 2 of whatever you're ordering. And she'd say, well, no, but do you want this? And I'm like, I don't want any questions. I just, like, I don't enjoy eating.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really easy in terms of cutting out food. What was tough was snacks.
Oh, of course.
So like actual meals, I can eat whatever, but I like my energy drinks. I like, and they're terrible for you, right? They're poison. They're awful for you.
Well, I got us fruit. I thought of some healthy guys
good,
here.
yeah.
I get some, and it's not crunchy in the microphone, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So it's a tough. Usually we're doing at least 10 pounds of water. Right, so kind of the golden rule in weight cutting is you're going to cut as much body fat as you can.
Okay. And
then once you get down to what would be a safe amount of body fat remaining, now we start to tackle into water.
Oh, okay. So it's like you're phasing it into two different parts.
Yes.
And so like how long, if it's in that 8-week training camp that you're doing this, what's that split into?
The water's typically the last week or the last 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
And it's very gradual. So we do a thing called water loading where you're drinking way more water than you normally would.
Okay.
So for me, I don't drink enough water. It's one of my vices. I need to drink more. But so we'll drink, 3 or 4 liters a day going into and then as we taper that off. So then 3 days out, we're doing 1 liter. 2 days out, or we're doing a half liter. And what happens is your body gets tricked, not to be crass, but it gets tricked into thinking that you're drinking this water. So you're still peeing like you're drinking 4 liters. So your body starts getting rid of excess water.
And then that's where it starts to get into dangerous is when when you have to force the body by going into sweatsuits and in the saunas, cold baths. I'm a little confused on how a cold bath works. Like, how does that help to cut weight?
A cold bath?
Yeah.
I don't. I've never.
I don't know. Somebody was telling me that they use the bath, and I was just like, I don't understand.
With ice and stuff. Yeah. I've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Like I don't understand how the science in that. I don't know. We're going to have to find somebody to join us. Or maybe you can give us a tweet if you know the answer of why they use ice baths. Talking Six.
I saw a tennis player in that ice thing.
Right. We use ice baths for swelling, right? And for injuries.
Oh, of course.
But in terms of weight cutting, I've never heard of it.
Okay.
For us, an ice bath would be that our joints are sore.
Yes. And that would come along for the weight cut.
It's like an entire body anti-inflammatory, basically.
Of course. Yes. That would make sense. That would make sense.
But yeah, so I think the mistake a lot of fighters make is they start cutting water way too early and they cut far too much, because you're not going to die from losing body fat unless it's an obscene amount. It's the water that causes the real the issues with brain function and dehydration.
And kidney failure.
Yes, exactly. Organ failure. So what was important for me was to get as close to 125 in body fat as I could and minimalize the amount of water, because the water is the dangerous part. Fortunately, I was fighting in Trinidad, which I would imagine is like Rio is very hot. Like Trinidad's,
How hot?
Trinidad it felt like about 30 every day.
Celsius.
Yeah. It was pretty warm.
Pretty much like.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the cold, so I'm total wimp in the heat.
You love the cold?
I love the cold too.
Anything past 20 degrees.
I creeped your Instagram and I saw you comment that said something about that, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm built for snow.
Yeah, because
me too.
You went down, I guess, to the Caribbean a little while ago with other fighters.
Yeah, I had 4 amateurs down there last month.
Cuffs in an amateur league?
It has both amateur and pro.
Oh, okay, excellent.
The show we were at last month was an all amateur show.
Okay. So I think I've read on your Instagram there that was like the 10th event you've attended there?
Yeah, Cuff's amazing. Sensei Adam Chinliang Kam, the guy who runs it, is a great martial artist, and he's kind of especially his family and his lineage is a pioneer of mixed martial arts in Trinidad.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's kind of the roots. Most of the major successful Trinidadian fighters have either been students of Adam or trained with him at some point.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's great to go down there, and it's also nice when you travel to another country and there's nothing suspect or nothing shady. It's Adam's always he's a martial artist first and a promoter second.
That's very cool.
Which is important, right?
Yeah,
because business can get shady.
Well, I was going to say that it's nice that you found this organization that seems like from what I've seen online about them is that they take care of the fighters.
Very much, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So, Alex, let me ask you, how many years have you been competing? Because you've been training for about 20 years in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I competed for...
Because when I Googled your name, I saw some YouTube videos. I believe it was Abu Dhabi. What's the
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi, yeah.
Yes, you competed there, right? Did you compete there?
In Abu Dhabi?
Yes.
No?
Okay. No. So where were the YouTube videos?
No, just in Brazil.
Oh, in Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil,
Okay.
What name? World champion before in Brazil. Yeah, before the LA. World Champion tournament started in LA in 2000. You remember 2010? I
Right.
don't remember 2010, 2011, maybe yeah. Before in Rio, I competed only in Brazil. Only in Brazil.
Only in Brazil.
Yeah.
So when you in jiu-jitsu, it's a tournament style. It's a whole day, right?
Whole day.
It's a tournament style. It's like a bracket system.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like because I never trained mixed martial arts, but I did wrestling for 3 years, and that was I remember my first coach telling me you'll never know the length of 3 minutes until you're in a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And that I laughed at it at the time, but your first time in a wrestling match, the first time in any combat sports, that first 3-5 minutes, it's the longest 3 minutes of your life, and having to do that multiple times, not just once throughout the night. Very much like the original UFC. The original UFC was a bracket system where you would compete, and now it's just one fight per guy, right?
Right.
But this style is still used in jiu-jitsu.
Until yet.
Yeah. And so I know there was a tournament last night in Vegas, Quintet. Yeah, and they did four different teams. 10th Planet, Team Alpha Male. I can't remember the two others, but just being able to the way that they had it plotted out to make these. They were finding out who was the best squad.
Right.
So you'd have the squads were kind of going up against each other, but there was guys to go up against each person in the squad.
In the same squad?
Yeah, so there was about 5 guys on each squad, and there was 4 squads, and that was like to me, like I was like, that's a different idea of a tournament style, and it seems to be.
No, but this idea originated in jiu-jitsu, because in jiu-jitsu the past no, not yet. When como eu falo campeonato brasileiro?
The Brazilian Championship?
Yeah, Brazilian Championship. There is a teams. Yeah, it's normal in Brazilian.
It's teams.
Yeah, teams. Yeah, it's normal. I fight in many. It's the best tournaments, because all guys is excited, because 5 guys. The Gracie Barra versus 5 guys. The Alliance.
Yes,
it's normal.
yes.
And for example, I am Brazilian champion.
See, it's not normal
2
for
times.
a guy like me to see that, and when I see that, I'm like, it's a different. To me, it's
it's nice because black belt fight with together with brown belts, and sometimes the brown belts submit a black belt is a team. Yeah,
yes.
This is the always in November in Brazil, because in November it start the summer, etc. The guys excited, and CBJJ created this tournament. It's normal, and yesterday
it's normal.
Yeah,
it's
normal.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome.
We think it's very tiring. He thinks it's okay. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's to me, just being a combat sports not athlete, but a fan, and it's like the little time that I spent in wrestling, and like that was way long before the UFC was even a thing or popular. To kind of see, and I wish I knew of jiu-jitsu back then, like when in the middle of the 90s. I wish I learned that it would be this popular, but in high school that was the only training you could get, unless your dad was into boxing and he took you out to boxing. But now it seems that there's gyms everywhere, and to see like the different style for the UFC is the only, and well, other leagues have, I guess, imitated the belt system, but they were the first ones to make rankings and make weight classes,
right?
In MMA, right? And but they got rid of the bracket system, the tournament style,
right? So
I don't know. When I watch the Eddie Bravo tournaments, and I think they're great. The EBI jiu-jitsu tournaments. I think they're great because there's just submission, and if there's a time limit, but then they have to go in the same holds. I think that's a very neat system.
Okay, girls now.
Yes. I'm excited for this fight. So the next fight coming up next is Aspen Ladd, who's 6-0, versus Tanya Evinger, 19-6. Aspen's a well-rounded fighter, but she had a very, very tough weight cut. She tried to flex her arms on the scale, and she was shaking yesterday.
Oh, wow.
But she's she's a young fighter. She's a tough fighter.
This girl?
Yes.
And Evinger's a veteran. She's been around. That sounded wrong. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Tanya. That came off the wrong way. I said she's been around, and then that has different connotations that I didn't mean.
It's on the internet. It's out there now.
She's a weight division heavier than me, so I got to be careful. Well, not these days, but
You wouldn't think that Aspen Ladd is a 135er. She looks little.
right. It's funny, I can never judge women's weight. Like my female fighters, I have a really hard time. I can look at a male fighter and say, you're 185. And I look at my female fighters and I can't guess their weight nearly as well.
I'm excited for this fight here.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm an Aspen Ladd fan. I remember watching a couple of her fights before she got into the UFC. I think she's only...
I'm gonna sound like really stupid, but I didn't know girls did that.
I don't know why, but when the girls fight is more real.
You
They're very
more
aggressive.
Yeah,
Very
more aggressive. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I find that the evolution of women's MMA is not, and it's not a slack on them, but it's taken a while for women's MMA to catch up to men's MMA.
For sure.
And because of that, it feels like you're watching fights of a couple of years ago, where they weren't so polished, but they were more exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think too, it's partly due to the lack of training partners. Like
Yeah.
when I look at my best female athletes have one or two training partners of similar size and similar strength, whereas my male fighters have 20 sparring partners.
Of course,
so
yes.
that helps them. You know, they have a lot more options for training.
And especially if it's not just so like two guys can pair up. You got to be close to the same weight class to train together properly.
Yeah.
I would
Especially
think.
in a fight camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, Connor has been training with guys that were 200 pounds plus for getting ready for Khabib.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because of that strength, right?
Yeah.
And the wrestling. Oi, nice knees.
See what I mean? Like that was a little sloppy, but it's kind of, you wouldn't see that, I don't think, in a high level, like a ninth ranked male fighter, but it's a couple of years.
Yeah,
all of
I
these,
think it'll progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you already see it with the
maybe.
high of the champions now, like Joanna and Shevchenko,
to
and
do that,
Yeah.
like punch the girl in the face.
Yeah.
That's
There
the
must
back
be
of the.
something you cannot do.
Go the
Yes,
back.
you
go
can't
the
hit
There
the-
might
back.
be rules.
You can't hit the brainstem.
Put hooks.
back of the head,
Back
Yeah.
of the head.
and no foot stomps. You can't stomp on somebody.
Exactly. She
Okay.
can't knee her in the head right now. So Evinger's knees are on the mat. So you
Okay.
can't. You can hit to the head, but you can't knee or kick to the head.
Okay.
So in
And you
Jap-
cannot bite.
you cannot bite. No, I've done it a few times.
No
to
eye
win, but you're
pokes.
not supposed
No
to.
pulling hair.
That's right.
Oh, eye pokes would be horrible.
Yeah, they're rough. She's gonna get her back here.
Who's gonna win?
My money's on Aspen Ladd.
Yeah, and she's in a really strong position right now. If she can get that hook, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
There
we
we
go.
After 2 minutes.
That's right. That's right. She gonna go to the body triangle? She gave up the one hook.
Oh,
Oh,
she's going
sh-
to mount.
Off she
Oh.
goes.
Big hooks from
Yeah.
there.
She's
Big
gonna try to
hooks.
go for underneath that neck.
No.
There we go.
Gotta watch the back of the
wow.
head, though.
This is horrible.
You're not a fan? Are you still thinking about training?
Not with the punching things.
no, it's done. It's done.
She's gonna go for that armbar. She's gonna take
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No.
No.
I thought she was gonna take it.
Nice one, Aspen
Wow.
Ladd.
Wow.
Nicely done, Aspen Ladd.
Wow, that was the.
Well done. Well done. If you are tuned in to the live stream right now, shoot me a tweet at Talkin' Six. Let me know what you're thinking of the show so far. Send me a question for the gentleman. Oh, yes.
I have a beer, thank you.
Have
sir.
a beer.
She's sad.
Yeah. She looked. She was very powerful. A couple of those elbows
She looks
seemed
pretty strong.
seemed a little suspect, but
She looked good. She recovered well from that weight cut. Aspen did.
Oh my God.
see, these are all clean. Those are all to the side of the head. There's one or two elbows that. See, she has the arm there. That's why I thought she was going for that arm. She had that control.
Yeah. So arm bar perfect here.
Yeah, it was right there, right? She struggled, but she made weight, correct?
Yeah, she struggled. But that's what I mean. She doesn't look like she's that big, but she weighed in at 134.5.
Right.
And it's good to know that she could get like the extra half off there, but
Right.
it was tough. Like watching the video of her yesterday when she they asked her to stand up on the weights and she lifted up her arms and halfway up she kind of did one of these and then like forced it
Right.
and like forced herself up and it was like shaking and like she just like looked almost defeated and. I watched an interview by MMA Junkie after where they interviewed her in her hotel room and she already had some water and she was already rehydrated but she was saying that she was probably going to feel like shit until the end of the night and then wake up the next morning and shake it off and get in there and for the performance that she just performed. I mean, Tanya Evinger she's probably pushing towards the end of her career, but she's a veteran.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's not an easy fight.
no, well, I don't think it's an easy fight for either one of them, right?
Right.
And because what was Tanya's last fight? She just she fought Cyborg last. Was that?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think it was Cyborg at the 145. And then
45 in kilos. 6'5".
Something like that.
We only work in kilos.
Kilos are what?
Yeah.
Is it 2.2?
yes.
Yeah,
2 kilos per
2.2. Yeah, 2.2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize till I lived in Australia for a year, and I didn't realize that Canadians, we're kind of bastards in the sense that we use pounds and kilometers. They said,
But he used kilometers.
we use kilometers and distance. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we would never say 6 miles.
6
Right?
miles.
We would
Right.
say 11 kilometers, 10
Yeah,
kilometers.
uh-huh.
But then we would say pounds. We use the
Yeah.
metric system sometimes. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, we use back
Is
and
there a
forth.
rule for that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitive. Look, she looks like she was on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She didn't get hit.
She's fight.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow, 23.
She's
23 years. 7-0.
7-0.
Yeah.
23 years old. That's her 5th fight in the UFC. She had 2 in Invictus before, I think.
She looks young.
Yes, that's what I mean. You don't think she's 135. She speaks well too.
Yeah. And she definitely sounds 23. She has a very,
Yeah,
very,
yeah, yeah.
very high pitched voice, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, this was
Horrible sound.
Horrible sounds.
Joe Rogan's a funny guy.
yeah, he is.
He's a funny guy.
Nobody's my friend. Awesome.
I like that. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, you're fighting them, yeah.
That's right.
No.
Yeah, she's got to fight somebody higher ranked now because I don't think Tanya Evinger was ranked
Right.
I'd like to see her move up in the ranks and try to fight somebody because she's young and she's 7-0. It's time to test that O.
Right.
Time to test that O. What do you think? Who's your thoughts for tonight? Khabib's 26-0. Who do you think is gonna go?
You.
All right.
No, I prefer Khabib. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the McGregor the way. Yeah, tal calat. I don't like this.
I'm so happy we agree about that.
There is one expression in Brazil: respect to preserve your what name is this? Teeth. Yeah, and McGregor talk a lot. yeah, I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. But Khabib too, one time, if Sambo, it's easy, the name is Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes. I saw that T-shirt.
I love that. No,
What was that?
Yeah, he entered in one.
His shirt said, if Sambo was easy, they'd call it Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. But after this, no, I train in Jiu-Jitsu every day.
Right, of course.
Yeah. It's only for a show.
Yeah.
Right.
But doesn't matter. I don't like the McGregor. Yeah.
So you used to train Sambo, right?
Yes, yeah. My coach's root arts were Muay Thai and Sambo.
So Sambo is is it an Asian martial arts?
No,
it's like a Russian
military martial art.
Yeah.
It's fairly new,
Very
and to be
nice.
honest,
It's new.
Sambo guys will get mad at me for saying this. So there's my disclaimer.
The president training Sambo.
Putin, yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
Putin training
exactly.
Sambo, yeah.
Oh, really?
Sambo has some of its own techniques, but it is an amalgamation. It's a lot of judo, a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Sambo guys like to say it's not, but it is. Sambo takes from many different martial arts, right? And as a military martial art, you should. If you're going to war, you don't want you want to be as ruthlessly efficient as you can be. So if that means adapting the strengths of some of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu or wrestling or judo, yeah, you're going to take it.
Khabib, when he fights, it's like a bear mauling.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's relentless, and with his championship win over Ala La Quinta, he chose to stand for some, and you can see that his striking wasn't. It's not as high level, nearly as high level as Conor McGregor's. It's not even close. It's not even close. But you see him. He chose to stand, or maybe he just couldn't get Al down in those later rounds. But it's they're showing the way that he works right now on screen.
Yes.
If you're watching along with us, it is like a bear mauling.
For me, it's similar to what Alex said. Is that it's Conor's fans too that get under my skin a bit. Well, there's talk of it. I've heard, the amount of time I've heard guys say Conor McGregor, the greatest fighter of all time, and I think, oh, for God's sakes, like Conor's very talented, but he's not even close to the greatest fighter who ever lived, in my opinion. Even like. Fedor had a 10-year undefeated streak.
Well, you can't be the greatest fighter of all time and lose to Nate Diaz,
who's not in the top 10.
Who's not in the top 10 fighters of all time. Like, sorry, Nate Diaz, you're a badass.
Absolutely.
You'd kick my ass for sure.
You can respect. you can have respect, but that's factual.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I respect anybody who gets in there, but. Fedor Emelianenko had a 10-year undefeated streak, 3 weight divisions above his own.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you compare those two? At one point, Fedor was 31-0.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Look at this.
Conor's fantastic, but
his striking is.
Oh my God, it's blood.
And that's my guy there, Bisping.
Yeah.
I like Bisping.
There's a woman there too.
The guy in the middle.
No, a woman there.
I'm just kidding. I'm not a Tyron Woodley fan.
But I respect the Conor history, because this guy started.
Well,
I respect, I respect.
But I know what you mean. This gets to me, right?
But the problem after the guy turning pop star, get money, turning other guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't understand this.
The thing with the bus and stuff like that. It's like you're.
The bus was too much.
But you're a father. Like that's what as soon as you have a child. you have to. Somebody's watching you. They're watching everything you do. You know what I mean? And even if that's selling tickets, and a lot of people say, well, it's for the fight and it's for that. Yeah, but it's still your name attached to it. You know what I mean? It's. Or you look at a guy like GSP. I'm biased because he's Canadian.
GSP, yeah.
But GSP's skill levels here, and he never talks. Right?
Yeah, never
he
talk.
respects everybody he fights. He's very vocal about his respect for them. He doesn't feel the need to insult their family or anything like that, you know?
I agree with you. GSP. So, what do you guys think of Conor calling out? He said if he wins this fight, he wants to fight Anderson Silva.
Oh, Jesus.
And I think that's kind of ridiculous because Anderson's a 185er, but his justification was, what's the difference between fighting Anderson Silva and fighting George St. Pierre? Because George St. Pierre just fought at 185.
Yeah.
Even though he got colitis by keeping on, like eating so much food to keep on the weight.
Anderson would hurt Conor so badly, in my opinion.
You think so?
Currently. Here's my thing. Nate beat Conor with jab cross. Like when I teach beginner Muay Thai, we start 1, 2, jab cross.
Yeah.
That's how Nate beat Conor. Down the pipe 3 times, jab cross. No crazy combo, no crazy elusive footwork or head movement. Basics done at an advanced
And he
level.
also slapped him. He slapped him in the face.
Yeah, and I find a lot of Conor's offense is making you miss. And unless Anderson is showboating, he doesn't miss much.
Yeah.
He's very precise.
Yeah.
You know, and the reach and the power.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's the one thing I think if Anderson is if they do that fight at 185, that's just ridiculous.
yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Because I honestly think that Conor's avoiding the George fight. I think
if he's smart, he is.
Yeah, I think Conor's avoiding fighting Woodley as well. Because he's talked about going up to 170, but I don't think he'd ever fight Woodley. I think Woodley would dominate.
Yeah, so do I. He's too. That wrestling's too strong. He's too big.
Yeah. But I would love to see now that I've said them both, Woodley and George.
Yeah, I'd love to see. I have mixed feelings because when George retired, I remember thinking, good. I mean, he's unquestionably, I think, the greatest welter who ever lived. Currently,
yeah.
He'd beaten every guy. You know, there was guys who get 6-0, 7-0, climb the ladder up to George, and be soundly defeated. At that point, he has nothing to prove. It's like we were saying earlier, it's your brain. You know what I mean? Like, you start getting hit a lot, it's
well, the time off seems to have done George well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so here's the thing. If George does come back, if Conor wins this fight tonight, George, if you've seen pictures of George lately, like, he's small.
Yeah, he's leaning down.
To me, there's also a post on his Instagram where he was doing a test cut to 155.
Right.
And there's no way that a guy like George St. Pierre just does a test cut to 155 unless he knows he's going to book the biggest fight in UFC history.
For sure.
Conor and George St. Pierre would be the biggest fight. And if Conor, to me, like, it's if Conor wins that, he's up there with the greatest. He's on the Mount Everests of MMA fighters.
Yep.
But if George wins, if Conor wins tonight and then George wins that fight, he's the first third belt holder, 3-time belt holder.
Yeah. Well, and they might even, there's that 165 division they're talking about.
165. See, I don't know. So I thought that was only the California Commission that pushed that through.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I thought it was only the California Commission that put that through, because I think they put I think they did 165, 175, and then they also introduced a 225 division,
which is good, like a cruiserweight. I've always thought that.
I think that's a brilliant. There's so many guys that go from 205 to 265.
Right.
That's one weight class.
It would be like letting me fight Quentin Jackson.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous,
No.
right? Like when a guy's 80 pounds heavier than you guys shouldn't be fighting.
No.
Right.
Yeah, because guys like, what's his name? Derek Lewis, who's fighting tonight, he's slimmed down, but when he first got into the UFC, he was making a weight cut to 265.
Right, yeah.
Like, who cuts weight to 265?
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, I hate cutting weight. I like to eat. And it's like that's a big guy to cut weight.
Absolutely.
Like, what happens after you cut? Like, are you putting the weight back on? Like, that's what's mind-blowing. Are you going in there heavier than 265 to fight some guy that's like 225, 230, 240?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Stipe was only 240, right? 243?
I think something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a guy he doesn't even care about cutting weight. He walks in there like straight from the fire hall.
Right. And I find there's a wider range of athleticism at heavyweight because of that. You can get away with, if you walk at 240, your weight cutting is really, and I'm not saying they don't work hard or they're not athletic.
Oh, no,
but
of course not.
The
Yeah,
range is much bigger.
Yes,
right?
yes.
If you have to make a very specific weight division and you're cutting 30 pounds, that's pressure.
Yeah.
If you're walking 240 and fighting heavyweight, the advantage too is you could fight on a dime. If someone called you that week and said, "Do you want to fight?" and you're 240 at heavyweight, sure. Do you know what I mean? If you're in camp, you don't have to worry about changing your diet and water loading and getting down.
Yeah. Alex, let me ask you, because you mentioned earlier when the teams fight each other that a black belt will fight a brown belt. In jiu-jitsu tournaments, does it usually go black belt versus black belt?
No. No, sorry. Black belt
Versus black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually like that.
Yeah.
So,
Only teams mix black and brown.
so do they do weight classes then?
Yeah.
They do weight classes, and so you have to be 185 and a black belt to fight a 185 and a black belt.
Me ajudei.
So they have to be the same weight?
Yes. Do they have to be the same weight and the same belt?
Eles têm que ter o mesmo peso e a mesma
Sorry.
faixa?
Yeah. No, in tournaments,
Yes.
no. In tournaments, you need the same belt,
Yes.
okay? A different weights, yeah, and age, yeah. Adult, 18 until 30. 30 until 35 in Master 1, 35 until Master 2, this way. Yeah, belt, weight, and age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes me think, because they've talked about in the UFC how they want to do a Legends division. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but if you could pull in the older guys, because the older guys, you want to see them fight, but, like the next weekend, seeing Fedor and Chael Sonnen fight in Bellator, right? Like, that's... who wouldn't want to watch that fight next weekend?
Right, exactly.
But I, for example, I am 38.
Yes.
I can fight in tournaments in adult division.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Correct, yeah.
No, yeah. I
Yes. It's very interesting. The next fight coming up, we got Vincent Luke versus Jalen Turner.
Where are these guys from?
This guy's from California. 6'3", it's at 170. He's tall.
And his fight record is
6'3" in meters?
In meters. Muy.
no
No, 6'3", 6 win, yeah.
6 wins. And yes,
Yeah.
it's his fight record.
Oh,
Yeah,
five
right.
No,
Yes.
but his
I thought
height,
it
I'm
was
saying his
height.
height's 6'3".
He's also 6'3".
height.
He's
Yeah.
6'3" and
Yeah,
6'3".
I saw it there.
In meters, yeah, I don't know.
This should be a good fight. Both of
6'3"?
these
Google.
6'3",
both of these guys have had
1 meter,
fight bonuses
8.
in the past.
Like low.
These guys have both had fight bonuses in the past. Vincent with 2 performances of the night, and Jalen with performance of the night, fight of the night, knockout of the night, and submission of the night. So this should be a good fight here.
Did you guys saw that? Brittany just blew a kiss at me. Did you
Oh,
see that?
I saw that.
It was right
Brittany
at me.
did blow a kiss at
She
you.
blew the
So
At
if you're tuned in
Are
and
you?
you're
Yeah,
watching the
for
fights here, we're gonna
I
throw a
think for me-
timer up.
Oh, man.
You're gonna throw a timer up right now in about 15 seconds, and you can sync up the fight alongside the broadcast.
Oh, southpaw, a tall southpaw. That's tough to deal with. Two of my best fighters are southpaws, so I hear southpaw and I get sympathy pains.
I think this is gonna be. These guys.
Ooh,
I don't
tag
think that
them.
this is gonna last long, and I don't think that these guys are gonna go down to the ground at all.
So we'd like to see Luque stepping to his left. So whenever you're fighting a southpaw, if you look at their feet,
Yeah.
ideally the right-hander, Luque, should be moving his foot to the outside
Yes.
of Turner's foot.
Yes.
So to keep away from his power. Oh.
No.
Remember, if you're watching right now on the live stream, shoot us a comment, shoot us a tweet, give us a question. While you're at it, follow GB West Downtown Toronto, follow 6 MMA, find out their schedules, get some classes in you.
They can follow me as well. The girl who doesn't know anything. I just hope there's no blood.
With this one, it's looking like there's gonna be.
There's going to be a little blood on this one.
Oh, that was a big knee.
Well, it's for the fight and it's for that. Yeah, but it's still your name.
So basically, the guy who hits more wins.
Yeah, if they don't stop each other, so the judges will kind of calculate how many punches, kicks, and knees, elbows are landed. But if
so
they'll also
kinda
judge,
calculate it.
yes, they'll also judge the ferocity of it. So if if you hit me 3 times and I hit you once, but the one time I hit you, you're wobbly, and they'll kind of even that out.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Well, good judges will. Some judges,
Weirdly, it does make sense.
right? Some judges will just say three punches and 1 punch.
No blood yet.
A little from Luque's nose, I think, but just a little. I might be wrong. Oh,
And this is going to be the end of the fight, I think.
Ground.
This is not going to...
no,
he's
out.
out. Oh, my
my
goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Luque was he had a great game plan. He was pressuring. He was not allowing him to use that reach.
This is my opinion, okay? But I think this guy don't train at the ground.
No.
Yeah, because okay, I receive one elbow, go down, but the guy don't try hip escape, block.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the guy try nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Helson Gracie told you 1 month, 2 months ago. The UFC guys, okay, it's a complete athlete, but this guy don't train jiu-jitsu more. Yeah, don't train more.
Some
For
guys,
example, Royce,
they've never been
Royce,
challenged.
last fight, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because Royce lost the essential. Yeah, training only Muay Thai.
Right.
Listen, man. Yeah,
I think he's pretty hurt here. Oof.
I don't want to see that.
Not in the slow-mo, eh?
yeah, it's my opinion, but okay, hug this guy, block, wait, rest.
Oh, he's out.
Yeah, he's
yeah,
in
he's
trouble.
out there. 3 more punches after he was out. That was unneeded.
Yeah, those are tough to watch.
Yeah, those were a little tough to watch.
No, he wasn't bleeding at all. It was his mustache.
Well, I called it. I said that wasn't going to last long. First
Yeah,
round.
he's
that's
gonna
true.
live.
First
yeah?
round.
He's gonna live.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
he's gonna live. Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll come back to fight another day.
He's crazy.
So, Alex, you grew up in Rio. Where did you move after?
No, yeah, sorry.
You grew up in Rio de Janeiro,
Uh-huh.
right? Where did you moved after? Where did you move to first after Rio?
No, Rio, I go for São Paulo.
In São Paulo?
São Paulo, Belo Horizonte.
Okay.
Yeah, in Belo Horizonte here. Yeah,
To here.
yeah.
Didn't
I born in Rio, yeah?
yes.
Yeah, but I started training jiu-jitsu in São Paulo with Ryan.
Okay.
Before I trained capoeira
Oh,
and
okay.
taekwondo. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so you train in other disciplines.
Yeah, yeah, and Muay Thai too. I trained
Muay Thai too, eh?
3 years and a half. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Did you ever try MMA?
Yeah, I fight 2 times.
2 times.
Yeah, one time it's good, yeah, but another time I fight with. I remember one guy there, 1 meter and 80. Yeah, it's long,
jeez.
long arms. It's difficult for enter. Yeah, because this guy's a purple belt too in the time. Yeah, I have purple belt, and the guy kick me, punch me. Yeah, I remember. Yes, it's not good.
Doesn't really want to
Not good.
remember
Yeah.
that.
But the fact that you remember is good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good sign.
So when you moved to Toronto, was that your first time in Toronto?
Yeah. No, 2 years ago I come for a vacation.
Vacation?
Yeah.
And then you were sold? You were like, this is it. I'm done. I'm coming to Toronto.
Yeah, and I follow. No, here I can live. Yeah, and move here.
And have you ever trained in Montreal or Vancouver with the other
No.
the other studios? You've never been out there to
No,
train?
in Vancouver, but the last year only. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here no.
And so the Gracie Barra program,
He's alive.
Yes.
it's standardized, right? It's the same program every Gracie Barra.
Yeah, very Gracie Barra. Yeah,
Every
700
Gracie-
in the world, the same program. The
700?
Same 700 in the world. Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
That's massive.
The Carlinhos, there is the idea that one Gracie Barra and all city in the world. Yeah.
That's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the same class, because we're working in curriculums, yeah. 16 weeks. For example, now we are in week 4, and in our world is the same. For example, if you travel for other country, you can train and you continue in the same.
Follow.
You follow. Yeah.
And so every school is on the same. Every school's on week 4 right now.
Yeah, every school.
Wow.
We have a platform. Yeah, our professors, there is our platform for remember this position this week, etc. Yeah.
Wow. And so when you showed me, in order to get the blue belt, to get a blue belt, you need to go through the blue 16-week program 3 times, right? Mm-hmm. And so that takes up almost the whole year, right?
Mais ou menos ano para chegar na faixa azul.
Yeah. Depend the frequency. Yeah, and
Depends on your
performance.
attendance, I guess.
Oh, of course.
Too. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, yeah, the guys are okay. So attendance is one goal, but the performance too.
Right.
Yeah, because one guy come and there is your mind and the job and your house and the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why I put blue belt in his room? Okay?
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah, it's. Well,
Anthony
this guy training jiu-jitsu, yeah. And the kid's training, yeah.
Blue belt, isn't he?
Huh?
He's a blue belt, isn't he?
I don't remember. No. Maybe brown. Yeah.
Brown?
Yeah.
Anthony Kiedis is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I don't know brown or black. I don't remember.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lots of famous people, I heard.
Yes. well,
Eddie Vedder training. Yeah.
yeah, Eddie Vedder. Yes.
I'm gonna go there to meet him.
Anthony Bourdain.
Then the and the
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah.
Filho da Madonna.
Yeah, the
Madonna's son.
Madonna's son trained
Of
with
course,
Ryan,
yeah.
with Renzo, yeah.
New York.
Who was the actor who played Al Bundy? His name's eluding me.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu
training.
Reeves. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Al Bundy. What's his name?
Oh, it's killing me.
The guy's the blonde
Ryan's
hair.
probably shaking his head at me right now.
The film, the motorcycle, Sons of Anarchy. When this guy's a purple belt, yeah.
Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah.
Or Hannum. I'm butchering his
Oh,
name.
yeah?
Yeah, purple
He's also
belt.
a blue
Purple
belt?
belt, the Machado brothers. Yeah, and
Oh wow.
Yo, Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill.
Thank you.
Big up producer Ryan in the
Thank you.
studio.
I
Thank you,
apologize,
sir.
Ed.
Kelly Slater.
Kelly Slater, the surfer.
Yeah, Kelly Slater.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal, actually. And so this to me, it's almost like a family tree. Not only just the Gracies, but you need to get your belt from somebody. So I can't just start up my own school because I never got a belt.
Their guys do it all the time.
Guys do that?
They do. And there's lots of videos online of legitimate IBJJF black belts going into schools. Like, for instance, I'm not ranked, but there are lots of guys like me who own a school who will just say, okay, here's a purple belt. And they shouldn't be doing that. Like, I don't give it, I'm not ranked, so I would never think to give a guy a belt because I don't have one.
Well, that's the thing. I can see if you have, like, with the 6 MMA, you maybe have your own program. If you want to reward your people, like, this is the whole thing. And you were telling me that when I came in, the kids have more belts.
Yeah.
Because when you reward somebody, they feel good about it, and it keeps them encouraged.
It gives them a benchmark too.
Yes, but I think that like, you've got your black belt, your 3rd degree black belt under the Gracie family. To me, like, if I get a black belt from you, like, that's the legit thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So to me, to find that out that the other guys just started, I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, maybe I'm just talking shit. I don't know.
No, it's. I think just in general. And why the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys understandably get so upset is that you just need to be honest with your students. You know, like, when my students come in, I say, my life has been devoted to 2 systems, predominantly, neither of which have a rank. Sambo has a blue belt and a red belt that just says your corner, where you're fighting out of, like, boxing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And Muay Thai has no formal ranking system. So, you know, you can devote your life to these systems, but it doesn't really... You have a record, right? No. So that's been difficult in business sometimes.
So if you're watching along on the screen right now, Maynard and Lentz, this was on the prelims, the early prelims online, or even before those. And since they have so much time between fights because it's on Fox Sports 1, they've decided to re-air this fight from earlier in the night. That's why you can see the crowd is empty in the background, because nobody's there yet.
I've rolled with Maynard. He's a nightmare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a nightmare.
Where's he from?
I can't remember. In the U.S., he did a seminar in Scarborough years ago.
Oh, wow.
And tied everybody in a knot. His level of wrestling's pretty ridiculous.
Which one is the guy?
The guy in the gray who's getting punched right now. Yeah, a very high level wrestling, and a big. Is this 55? This
lightweight. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big lightweight.
Yeah, he looks like a big guy. This seems like this Khabib style seems to be dominating with a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of the leg rides and wrist control.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I'm not watching that.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Oops.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
He's in trouble.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Oh, the short elbow too. Wall walk.
Elbow.
He's looking for a Darce, but he's...
If you're watching online right now...
Oh, he's got his neck. He's got his neck.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gone.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's a deep...
If you're watching online right now, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, give us a share.
Oh.
He's out. Wow. Okay, that's his...
What did he say?
He's that choke he just attempted, called the guillotine choke. He said no fighter in the UFC has attempted that choke more than Nick Lentz.
Oh, okay.
So that's his go-to weapon.
But if you want to stop that, you can, like, you tap on the floor,
Yeah,
just like
that's
the
right.
jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. Ideally, you tap on the person, but yeah, or the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I rolled with I had a deaf training partner for years, and I used to make the mistake of tapping the mat.
He doesn't
He
know.
wouldn't stop.
Oh.
Oh my god.
So my coach was always on the guy.
Yeah, always in the
Yeah,
ground.
because
always.
I would tap, and he was not letting go. And then, he would feel so bad, and I'd say, no, I'm an idiot.
Oh my god.
Hey, Mr. Ryan, just remember to run the timer on the next round. This is a fight that wasn't on our card here in the studio. This did come out of nowhere. I think that they may not have even aired this fight on the early prelims,
Right.
or they
Oh
just
my
took.
god.
Those are not...
Yeah, this fight doesn't look like it's lasting much longer.
No.
I'm not watching. He wants me to watch it.
You learn.
Do I?
You'll learn.
Learn what?
This the thing is, this is the highest form of athleticism on the planet. It really is, and you like. I remember when it first started, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's so gay to get two guys in there," and I'd be like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah,
like,
I've heard that my whole life.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Have you?
Yeah, my whole life.
if you went in there with any other false intentions, but to try to perform to your best abilities, like if you were going in there to, as Nate Diaz says, play touch butt in the park.
Yeah.
If you were going in there to play touch butt in the park, pardon?
Sorry about the timer.
No worries. If you were going in there with the false intention, you're just going to get beat up.
Absolutely.
You're going to get absolutely beat up, and so to me, you have to be constantly improving. If you're testing your skills even if it's once a year,
Yeah. And
even if once a year, you need to be better than the last time,
And for me, that's just over the top homophobic.
right?
Do you know what I mean? Like, a part of me wants to say, number one, that's not what we're doing. Number two, what if we were? What are you going to do
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah,
Right? I had a student, a trial. So a trial is just a guy who's coming in, right, to try a class. And he was dropping some real homophobic slurs, and he was being very aggressive about it. So, I gave him a warning. You always, as a teacher, you give them a warning. Hey, that's not appropriate. The way you're speaking isn't appropriate. And
What
he
was
kinda,
he saying? Like,
this guy's gay, and I don't want to roll with this guy because I'm not gay, and I have a lot of openly gay students, and I have transgendered students. We have everything, right? It's
Yeah.
it's Toronto,
It's
and you
Toronto,
should
yeah.
just be respectful to everyone, right? That seems
Exactly,
like basic
yeah.
human decency. And this guy was not being respectful, so this is probably not the most mature way to handle it. But after I'd warned him a few times to be respectful, and he wasn't. So I rolled with him, and every time I got into a dominant position, I would hit on him. I would flirt with him. So
That's actually
just like
that's brilliant.
I took his back and I said, "You smell so good," and he was going ballistic, and
that's a good idea.
yeah, and it was probably childish, but I thought I wanted him to leave. As childish as I wanted him to, because he was so to me, it was very offensive, and I'm a hard guy to offend. I have a pretty chill sense of humor and stuff, but this guy was aggressive. And again, Alex will say the same. It sounds a bit cheesy, but your students are like your children.
Yeah.
So when a guy comes in and he's being aggressive with your kids, it's difficult to stay calm. You know what I mean? Because it's my job and Alex's job to protect them, right?
Yeah.
So, my goal was for him to either think I was gay and get over that, or think I was gay and not come back. But either
What
way,
happened?
Either he didn't come back. He didn't come back.
Okay, it's a good thing.
But I'd asked him to tone it down and please don't use that language, and he wouldn't quit. So we just
You had to do the
we
other
tuned him
way.
up a bit, as we say. Yeah.
That's a brilliant story. I love it. I love it.
Well, Toronto in 2015. You can't be talking like that. Right?
No.
Like,
No,
Definitely
no,
not.
No way.
right. Oh, Gray hurt him.
Oh, jab.
This is sorry for yelling. Somebody's going to sleep here. These two are both on wobbly legs.
Oh my.
Oh!
Oh. Oh my
This is
goodness.
just so funny.
Oh my
I thought that stoppage
goodness.
was a little bit early.
It's a little bit early.
Because Gray's hurt. There's no question
Oh
he's hurt.
man,
but,
that's funny. He got.
that's one of those ones
rocked.
that
They were
looks-
just going back and forth
yeah,
there.
Absolutely.
That was a good fight. I'm glad that they re-aired that. Yeah, he looks like he's almost recovered there.
Yeah, he's not wobbly or anything.
No.
Like, sometimes it's the visual of it, right? Pop.
Yeah. Which camera do you leave it on? Did you leave it on the back camera?
On what?
Yeah, perfect.
Yep, even Dominic said it. He thinks it's a bit of an early stoppage. I mean, he caught him. He's definitely in trouble here, but
It's got to be tough to be a referee, man.
very tough, yeah.
It's got to be really tough.
Also, when you get hit on the head really badly, your perception is off, obviously.
Of course,
So
yeah.
I've had stoppages where I've said to the ref, like, I'm fine. And someone shows you a video of it and you go, oh, I was in big trouble. Like, I was not nearly as fine as in there. You think, I'm good.
Well,
The guy who's a nightmare lost.
This is the last fight of the preliminary card.
So he's not so
Or
much
no.
of a nightmare.
pardon?
Last fight, the
today.
preliminary
That's
card?
right.
No, he
Not
was
for that guy,
he was
though.
on
That's right.
earlier tonight, but that wasn't aired on this. But since the other fights were so short and they have to fill 2 hours, there was only supposed to be 4 fights for the prelims.
Oh.
This isn't live. This is like 3 hours ago.
Ah, okay.
I am going to use the little boys' room.
Yeah. I think Ryan's in the washroom,
Oh,
but
I'll wait.
yeah, should be just a second. Yeah, that head kick came out of nowhere.
It did. See, he's tucking up here now. Typically, when a guy has a tight wing block like that,
Yeah.
it means he's aware
Yeah,
that the punches aren't landing necessarily cleanly after that. And then you kind of see, is he going to just turtle there, or
Yeah.
is he using that to kind of post and walk the fence? But a great kick, certainly landed flush. Sergio.
this is actually the Pettis brothers have been on 4 fight cards together. So
Must be emotional, right? To fight with your brother there, it's
and not only that is it
It's a
emotional.
Brazilian guy.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Formiga.
Yeah.
that's a common name, Formiga.
It means ant.
It means
Ant.
ants.
Yeah, it's a nickname.
Okay, it's a nickname. Right?
Little guys.
Yeah.
No,
So I'm
Formiga.
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 Beer?
Formiga.
Yeah.
You want one?
No, I'm fine. You still like half of it. Formiga is the little insect.
Right,
Yeah.
like me. Formiga.
Yeah, are you?
I'm pretty small.
No, but it's the actual insect.
The bug, right?
How you doing?
Oh yeah, I'll take one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start to cry and talk about my childhood if that's everyone's okay with. Then in 2nd grade.
This is actually
This
pretty
good
fun.
beer improved my English.
That's right.
Of course, always.
It was pretty good to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your English is
Always.
much better than my Portuguese. It makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Much better.
If you go to Gracie Barra, you learn a lot of Portuguese.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny. I dated a Portuguese girl before I met my wife,
Ooh.
and
For how long?
just over a year.
Okay, so this is good enough for like to
Well,
learn
yeah,
a little.
bit, and she taught me how to say or she taught me how to say something, and then I was speaking to a friend of mine who's Brazilian, and I said it to him, and the first thing he said was, "You learned that from a Portuguese girl."
Exactly, we know.
He said, "You don't sound Brazilian. You sound very Portuguese."
What was that she taught you?
I can't. I will butcher it now. I guess
Okay,
it's
that's okay.
literally been.
We've been butchering your language.
No,
You
not at all. Not at all.
Portuguese.
It was 16 years ago. Estou tentando falar português.
Ah, yeah.
I am learning to speak Portuguese.
Yeah, but there's accent from Portugal.
From Portugal.
Yeah,
That's better than, I always hear you sound like GSP. I'm not that impressed by his performance. I'm not GSP, but,
No, yeah. For me, either you learn that from a Portuguese person or a Carioca person, someone from Rio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because there's difference
Either.
between estou and estou, right?
Yeah, in Rio de Janeiro, normal. Estou.
Estou.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how he speaks.
But the Portuguese just say estou.
Estou. It
Okay,
doesn't matter.
okay. Yeah. When I lived in Australia, I faked an Australian accent the best I could. I butcher it.
Where
but-
did you live in Aussie?
In Sydney.
Yeah, I lived in New Zealand.
Oh, nice. Okay, there you go. And we had the pub I did security in and worked in. We had a live band, so you could only kind of hear people. So I used to get away with the Australian accent.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's difficult. It's a really
It's
difficult
difficult.
accent.
Yeah, like they changed the E for I, the I for
Yeah.
E. So I spent like 1 week just watching television,
Right.
just
right.
to try to crack it.
And even when they say no, it's no.
Yeah, no.
It's like two.
When I
sorry.
got back home to Porto Alegre, which is I'm from south of Brazil,
Okay.
and I had an English teacher, and she was English, and she said that I got back there saying yes instead of yes.
Yes.
And she was like, "Do I correct her?" And I said, nah.
That's all right. That's just leave it.
Yeah, just leave it. And then I lost it eventually.
Right. Right.
I still say cheers.
Cheers.
for
Me
things.
too.
Cheers for.
You know what really confused me when I got there was the Aussie said, "G'day, how you going?" And
Cody.
how you going?
I was like,
I tried to explain to them, I'm good and going east. I was like, I tried to explain to them. In Canada, that's a bastardization of two questions. Where are you going and how you doing? So they said, how you going? And I'm like, what do they want to know?
How you going?
Left and well.
I'm taking my car? Taking the bus.
so many mistakes I made for the E and I,
Right.
but like so many, I have to wait for like the eighth beer to tell you.
Right.
Maybe off the mic.
Off the right. Or they use just different words too, like asphalt is bitumen.
Oh,
Yeah.
What?
I couldn't, and my Aussie friends are going to go nuts and say, you're butchering it. One of my friends came in with a scar on his leg, and I said, what happened? And he said, mate, took a huge spill on the bitumen. And I said to him, I have no idea what you just said. Bitumen for asphalt. Or peppers, or capsicum.
capsicum. Yeah,
Oh, you know that one.
I lived in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know that one, but geez,
Bitumen, yeah.
I don't. That's
They had to take me out front to the street and point and say, bitumen. I'm like, asphalt. Oh, okay.
what did they say about asphalt?
They just thought they thought it was crazy. Or little words
They're like
that.
asphalt. Yeah, right.
There was one guy who was talking about an album debut, and he has that trailer movie voice. The guy who does the trailer, like, in a world. That type of guy. And he literally said, it's her album debut. And I laughed. I'm like, debut? So, you debut? Is that bathroom free?
Yeah,
It
bathroom's
is.
free.
Okay, sorry.
So this fight coming up, Sergio Pettis, and he's Brazilian. How do you say his name? It's
Formiga.
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 He's a jiu-jitsu specialist. He's had one performance of the night background in the past, and then Sergio Pettis has had two fight of the nights in the past. He's Anthony Pettis' little brother, for those of you who do not know. And Anthony Pettis is fighting in the co-main event against Tony Ferguson tonight, the former interim lightweight champion. It's the fourth time that they've been on the same card together. I think that would be easy. If do you have any siblings? Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, sister.
Did she train?
No.
No,
Just weightlifting.
just weightlift.
Yeah.
So
Try, but don't like.
when you were younger, so jiu-jitsu's got to be massive in Brazil.
Yeah.
Has it always been like that, or has it been as the UFC's gotten more popular, it's become more popular?
No. Always until the 40 decade.
Say again?
Yeah, desde a década de 40.
Oh, since the 40s.
Oh, since the 40s.
Yeah, the martial arts.
So it's just a way of life there.
Yeah.
Just a way of life.
Yeah.
So,
But after UFC is grown, yeah.
so as Danny was saying earlier about like
In Brazil, there is the first sport in Brazil is not soccer, surfer. After soccer and jiu-jitsu together. Yeah. All guys say, soccer is the first. No, soccer is more famous.
Yes.
But there is in Brazil there
more
is
people roll than they do play soccer.
There is
Really?
many Brazilian jiu-jitsu schools, many in all the world.
So
And all surfers in Brazil training jiu-jitsu is because the Rollis Grace is the guy que eu falo mix these guys. There is a many stories in YouTube about this.
So there's no as Danny was saying earlier, as he was growing up in the sport and everybody using homophobic slurs. There's nothing like that in Brazil. You don't like fighting and training is part of life. You're not ridiculed for practicing, right? You're not made fun of.
Tu não é ridicularizado por estar fazendo jiu-jitsu, se agarrando com um monte de homem e tal.
No more. In the past, yeah.
In the past,
yeah,
yes.
Depende. There's one guys,
One guy, yeah.
A few, yeah. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, sometimes it's
As in everywhere, I guess.
But it's more accepted there than it is here. I would think.
say that.
Yeah.
I think it's way more accepted.
I think culturally, jiu-jitsu is such a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas here...
So we're going to get this timer lined up here with you, Pettis and Formiga. Is that how?
Formiga.
I'm going to call him the ant.
Formiga. The ant.
The ant.
The ant.
Formiga.
Like the superhero, the Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, exactly.
He's gonna be the...
That's right. Formiga Man.
Homem-Formiga.
Today jiu-jitsu is more famous. In the
Yes.
past is today the guys respect because a good sport, yeah.
Right.
All guys training, but in the past I don't know why. Oh, you like the other guy. I don't know.
I had a guy say to me once, I feel like rolling around on the ground with another guy is it's pretty soft. And I said to him, not being able to win a fight is soft. I said to the guy, I'm half your size, I could beat you like that. Not, you know what I mean? That's soft.
Yeah.
I think there's a cultural thing. Because Brazilians, we don't have a personal space.
Right. My wife is Chinese, and it's the same thing.
She doesn't have a personal space?
Her personal bubble is here. Mine is 10 meters.
We don't have that.
Right. Well, population density, right?
Yeah.
Like Canada has 30 million, so does Southern California.
Yeah.
Right? It's like
We don't
nice kick
have
there.
that.
right. It's funny, when I met my wife, she said, we were at a party and she said, "You're Danny the fighter." It was years ago. And I said, "Yes." And she says, "You look like a fighter." And I went, "What?"
What?
Because my whole life people have been like, "Really? It's you?" Because I'm a small guy and I'm lean. But then she explained it. She said, culturally, being born in Hong Kong, to her a fighter is Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
To her a fighter is
of course.
lean and fast.
Yeah.
Of course.
Where I grew up here, and to Canadian girl, a fighter is Van Damme.
Oh,
Right. So, you know what I mean? Or Brock Lesnar or something.
Yeah.
So
Cultural thing.
when Lena said, "You look like a fighter," I remember being dumbfounded going,
What?
I'm
And that's why you married her.
Exactly. I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, she makes me look tall in pictures. So I stand aside.
So this is the weight class that you used to fight at.
25. Yes. And it's funny. I'm taller than both of these guys. It's the weight cut
Wow.
is difficult, but it gives you that reach. And I have a disgustingly disproportionate reach at 71 inches. It's way longer.
71 inches
Yeah.
your reaches?
Yeah. So
Wow.
For my height,
Yeah.
way too long.
For reference, Khabib's is only 70.
Yes, and he's much taller and
good,
bigger
yeah.
than me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Where is this formiga from?
I don't know.
Julia.
Let's see. This your weight, yeah?
Yeah, flyweight, exactly.
Oh,
nice.
nice.
Nice. Pass.
Yeah.
Oops.
There's real levels to this jiu-jitsu, man.
Yes.
Like you said, if these guys that do no training against the jiu-jitsu, like brown belt, they don't have a chance. You got to train, and you see it once some of these guys that hit the ground that they've never trained on their back, and they've never trained.
Yeah, you remember the Vitor Belfort versus John Jones?
Oh yeah.
When Belfort go the armbar.
Yes.
After this, John Jones now I need to train jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Yeah, and
'Cause he
today
almost
train
took his
with
arm.
Tulsa and New Mexico, and then Gracie Barra,
Right.
yeah, and training. You need.
I think he injured his arm with that.
Yeah.
Like, I think he hyperextended it. a bit.
Yeah.
It was a pretty deep armbar.
Yeah. And I remember, but don't John Jones don't tap because this guy's a warrior.
He's very tough.
Yeah.
He's very, very tough.
Because Vitor Belfort is strong. He's a good fighter in the
course.
ground.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Vitor's he's a scary fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
So who won?
Just the end of the round, I think. Yeah.
I would put that with Formiga ending the round on top. I would put it Formiga's round.
Yeah.
You think Formiga's gonna win?
I think he's in the lead right now. I think he won that round.
I mean, they're not going to. I would change the entire way they score MMA.
Would you?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
How would you do that?
And I'd love to get your thoughts on this. I think the problem is that, they're scoring effective grappling and effective striking,
Okay.
right? But when you look at that, what is effective striking?
Like leg kicks, effective striking.
Right. Typically it's a thing of damage, right? I'm inflicting basically a fight no matter what. Jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Sambo, boxing, wrestling, it's how much damage can I deal out while minimizing the damage I take, right? So I think what they need to do a little bit more, in my personal humble opinion, is when a fight is over, the judges should ask themselves a simple question: who would I rather be? Right? I like to think that, like, if one guy had top position for a lot of the fight, but is broken, right? Would you rather be him?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like who looks like they lost?
Well, yeah, and even sometimes not necessarily the look, because I look at a guy like GSP, you can flick his cheek and it'll swell up. But he, if one guy is hobbling, or if he's got ice on his face, if he's, clearly injured, because control matters, right, obviously, but I think control should matter if the damage is similar. Right? But if the damage is one way, I don't think control should negate that damage.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think one of my fighters fought in Cuff for his pro debut. And not to take away from his opponent, Joash Watkins, is a monster. He's a good guy. My fighter hurt him badly a few times. But Joash did an amazing job of controlling my guy, keeping him on his back.
Yep.
So that's one of those things where, who do I think won the match? Joash. In terms of control and positioning, he earned it. I don't want to take away from that win at all. Who would I rather be after that fight? Definitely Mac. Definitely my student. In terms of, we went to the bar.
Yeah.
He was banged up.
Yeah.
Hand was broken.
We went to the bar. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and not to take away from Joash. He's a monster.
Yeah, but
Pettis seems to be getting his groove on now, and looks like he just needed to warm up a bit.
Yeah. And Duke is calling for the high kick on the exit. So typically in Muay Thai, that's when you're the most vulnerable. When there's some kind of clinch, and as you push away, we know where your hands are. We know your hands are not up, typically, right?
Pettis is a specialist in Muay Thai?
Yeah. Well, but actually, I believe he had, I think it's either a Taekwondo or karate background as well. Like you see Anthony Pettis spinning around and throwing back kicks.
Just want to say thanks for everybody watching so far. We're going to be restarting the stream at 10 o'clock for the main card because Facebook cuts off streams at 4 hours.
Nice.
And combining the prelims and the main card together might be longer than 4 hours, and we're definitely not going to cut off the show while the Conor McGregor fight starts. So,
do you know what I like that Formiga did there that not a lot of fighters do? Is he attacked the single and transitioned to the double. You know, like a transition to controlling both legs.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, watch that up kick.
Oops.
up kick.
Oops.
Yeah, nah.
Oh. So if you're watching right now on wherever you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or Periscope, give us a subscribe because we're going to be starting the next stream shortly after. If you got any questions for us, you can hit us up at Talking Six. That's TALKING, the number 6 IX, on all your favorite social media platforms. You can tweet at us. You can send me a message on Instagram.
Half guard? Yeah.
Half guard.
Yeah.
It's a good time to ask, Alex. I have 2 of my 45 pros fighting soon. Is it okay if at some point I bring them by to work with some of your guys? Would be.
Say that again.
Oh, I said I have two of my featherweights, 145-pound guys are fighting soon. So I was asking if it would be all right to bring them by to do some cross training.
Tem dois.
Português here. Yeah. It's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Speak
Ele
Portuguese.
tem 2 estudantes. Quer saber se ele pode levar lá na escola pra
Sure.
pra treinar.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Obrigado. Thank you.
De nada.
It's beautiful, actually, that you guys are only a block away from each other.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
And I think the mistake that a lot of I don't want to pick on Toronto martial artists, but martial artists in general is there's 5.5 million people in the GTA.
Yes.
So I've never understood when one school flexes on another school. You know, this idea of there's enough students, there's enough, and we're supposed to be martial artists. You know, like he's a very respectful guy. I've known him for 20 minutes. He seems like a gentleman. Do you know what I mean? But there's a lot of there's too many fighters and not enough martial artists.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Too many guys who like hurting people and not enough guys who have committed. You know, he's 20 years at it. You know what I mean? That comes with
this guy is a gentleman.
Absolutely, right? But unfortunately, now, I'll be honest, the majority of the gym owners, I think, are. But you do run into those gyms where it's very territorial and stay away from our students and this and that. It's like, I've had students say, I would like to go cross-train. It depends on each gym, but for me, cross-training is, if one of my students wanted to work with Alex, if he got the opportunity to, why would I stifle that? Why would I say, no, 3rd degree black belt? No, don't. He can't teach you anything. Why would I say that? It's good for him to work with somebody with that experience level, right? It makes him a better fighter. And I've often said, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's like a relationship, like a man and wife, a boyfriend and girlfriend. If you're confident in that relationship, then you let them go to lunch with somebody else.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes,
you know,
yes.
like, if one of my students wanted to go learn from him, I would be all about that, because at the end of the day,
for example, I have one idea. If all guys respect training martial arts, never do the war in the world more.
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
the ego
Because of
comes
respect,
down,
yeah.
right?
Wow, that's really, if more guys train martial
yeah, for
arts.
example, now, I have here, meeting you, it's turn my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sports, martial arts.
Yes.
You gain the
Camaraderie.
real friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
It's different the bar. You have a beer friend. Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
It is, absolutely.
yeah.
I went to teach.
I know. Always this.
I wish I speak Portuguese because I have a feeling you're really funny.
Absolutely.
we were at the Uber car, and he said, he said something, and then I just cracked laughing.
Right.
And then the driver's like, "Oh, you're going to a party, yeah?"
No, man.
kind of.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
look.
very funny.
Yeah, he's got the body
Yeah.
triangle.
Man, when the guy do this hook in the back.
Yeah, it's difficult,
like
right?
it?
That's difficult. Yeah.
And for the people who haven't trained, that body
Yeah,
triangle is limiting your breathing.
In jiu-jitsu tournaments, it's very common. The guy put the hook and look the judge 4 points, and the guy close triangle on the back. Fight the fight.
Yeah.
It's impossible to escape.
right.
Yeah,
And it's a gas tank killer
yeah.
because you can't take full breaths.
Oh yeah, the body triangle.
So when a guy has a deep one,
of
you're kind of
course.
doing this.
Yeah.
You're getting these little.
and he's just gotten tighter.
Yeah.
Oh
So Formiga is in trouble, yeah?
No,
no,
Formiga's dominant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you can
Pettis-
see.
I know
Pettis
a
is in
lot
trouble.
about
no,
it,
it's
yeah?
okay.
It's a real choke.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Yeah, in Portuguese, mata leão.
That's right. Lion tamer.
Lion tamer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Ah.
He's got to shrug his shoulders and tuck his chin. And this is what's hard to watch. You hear the audience members booing
Yes.
because they have no idea.
They have no idea what's going on.
Formiga is in a dominant position.
Yeah.
He's doing everything he should be doing, and then boo.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. It's a part of. It's a
I
part of it.
remember my last time in Brazil when I watch UFC, yeah, and when the guys go to the ground, the jiu-jitsu, all people, ooh,
Oh, it drives me
man.
nuts. What I
It's a
don't understand is
jiu-jitsu,
go
yeah.
watch boxing.
Yeah,
Like if you don't like jiu-jitsu or wrestling, that's okay. But then don't go to a UFC event. I don't understand why you would pay for MMA
Yeah.
and then boo every time they hit the ground.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Because some of those people are still expecting the first like the UFC of the old days where
Where
there
they
was like
just-
foot stomps and
Exactly.
no weight classes, and you just wanted to see like some guy get his eyeball knocked out of
That's
his
right.
head.
Oh my
I
God.
would like to see them bring knees to the head of a grounded opponent.
Really?
Absolutely. Because when you look back at, when you look back at Pride, there weren't actually a lot of KOs from knees to the head from a grounded opponent because when people are aware of them, if I'm in bottom side control,
Yeah, if
and
you're
I-
aware of them, you make moves.
you're busy.
Yeah.
If we get to north-south and I know you can knee me, I'm going to treat it differently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Pride was a good example of that.
Yeah, Pride was strange, knees to the, you can soccer kick, I got no elbows though.
Soccer kick.
No elbows.
Right?
no elbow in the leg. Yeah,
So they're gonna stay there forever.
Yes. Well, why wouldn't you? He's winning from there.
Yeah, he's dominant, exactly.
I think Pets is a little bit angry.
yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah,
He says, I got this new backpack and I hate it. I hate it.
Too heavy.
it's a heavy backpack. Yeah,
And it doesn't smell good.
Exactly. It's trying to
smell
choke me.
good.
yeah.
It doesn't carry a lot either. It's just heavy.
10 seconds.
See, I don't know why people are booing. It's just blowing my mind. I mean, if you're Formiga, why would you give that up?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Why,
You wouldn't.
I mean, I think people don't realize that too when they'll talk about it. Like, my favorite thing that drives me nuts is when they say, oh, GSP, he's a safe fighter. Of course he is. It's his brain.
Yeah.
It's his career. When GSP fought Dan Hardy, who had been knocking everybody out, or Thiago Elva has been knocking everybody out. Of course he's going to take them down. Why
Yep.
Why would he stand with a guy like that, even if he can? Do you know what I mean? So I had two fighters fight in Detroit a few months back.
Yep.
and both guys won. But what I was most happy about was they didn't get hit, not cleanly, not once.
Nice.
So that's the important part, right? As a coach, especially these guys are both career fighters. They're going places.
Yeah.
I want them to
take the least amount of damage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to minimize that
Well,
damage.
that's Connor's plan. He said if he can win it in the first round and not take any damage, he'll take Madison Square Garden next month.
Right.
Because if you imagine if it's like a 13-second win against like he did with Aldo,
Right.
he could literally just headline another card next month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Formiga.
The ant.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:52, which means that we have 8 minutes until the main card starts. We're going to take a little break here in studio. Make sure that you subscribe to the channels, whatever channel that you are watching on, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, give us a like, give us a follow, and join us back here in just a few more minutes.
Us. I'm having a blast. It's fun.
Fun, isn't it?
No more nerves, right?
No.
No, exactly. You just got to get the first 10 minutes out, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Doesn't matter.